When I was 15, my mom and I lived in my grandpa's apartment building. There was no lock on the back entrance to the building. Anyone could walk into the landing area. From there, you could access the basement. The basement wasn't even creepy. It had a kitchen setup, washer and dryer, storage shelves. Only one part was hidden, a back storage room with swinging saloon-style doors. You couldn't really see inside unless you stepped in and turned. One night, I brought laundry down late. I tossed it on the floor and started sorting. Then I got hit with that feeling, the one where your stomach drops, like you're being watched. The basement was well lit, quiet, normal, but something felt wrong. I kept staring at the swinging doors. I almost walked toward them. Then I stopped. I've watched enough horror movies to know better. I left everything there and ran upstairs, locked the apartment door, told my mom I had a bad feeling. She told me to go to bed. Around 3 a.m. I woke up to pee. The apartment was dark. I saw my mom standing frozen in her bedroom doorway, holding the phone. She whispered for me to get against the wall. I looked toward the back door in the kitchen. There was someone outside. I could see their silhouette through the small window curtain. The doorknob was moving, and there was this scratching sound, slow, metallic. I don't know what came over me. I slid down the wall and crawled toward the kitchen, grabbed a butcher knife from the counter. I sat on the floor next to the fridge, shaking, knife in my hands, waiting. Police lights suddenly flooded the kitchen. The man ran. Officers found deep scratches all over the door and knob, like someone had been trying to cut their way in. But that wasn't the worst part. When police checked the basement, my laundry wasn't where I left it. It had been dragged into the back room, the swinging door room. Storage boxes were opened, food wrappers on the floor. He had been down there when I was doing laundry. And based on the marks on the door, he had a knife. Sometimes I still think about what would have happened if I'd stepped through those doors, and I don't think I'd be here telling this story. I was 14, my sister was 18. My dad loved fishing in the middle of nowhere. The more isolated, the better. We drove a couple hours into a state park in Georgia, down a dirt and gravel road that felt endless. Eventually, we reached a clearing near a small waterfall with a shallow river. It was peaceful, quiet, no one else around. After about an hour, I walked back to the car to grab some water. That's when I saw him, a man standing just behind the tree line about 30 feet from our car. I hurried back and told my dad. By the time we all looked, the guy was suddenly standing up on the hill above us. He looked mid to late 20s, around 6 feet tall, wearing what looked like an army uniform, but not quite right, like a cheap costume version, and he was holding a machete. My dad stayed calm, started making small talk, asked if he was fishing. The guy stared at us for a full minute before answering, said he was waiting for friends to pick him up in a boat, at the base of a waterfall, with no boat, no car, no trailer. Sure. While talking, my dad slowly packed our stuff up, positioning himself between the guy and us. The man barely responded, just twitched, restless. After about 20 minutes, we made it back up the hill toward the car. That's when he changed. He suddenly started ranting about his time in the military, then about his high school sweetheart leaving him. His eyes went wild. He started screaming about how women are awful, how they always betray men, and the whole time he was staring at my sister, stabbing the ground with the machete over and over. My dad told us to get in the car. Calm but firm. We did. We left fast. He stood there watching us drive away. We joke about it now and call him the Machete Man. But my dad later admitted that was the only time in his life he truly wished he had a gun. His only weapon that day was a pair of scissors in the tackle box. This happened when I was 18. I got into a stupid, dramatic fight with my boyfriend around 11 p.m., the kind where teenagers yell and cry and say things they don't mean. When we hung up, I made the worst decision of my life. I decided to walk to his house and confront him face to face. It was only a 15-minute walk, but through dark roads between gated communities. Barely any streetlights. No one walks there at night, but I was mad. I threw on a sweater, shorts, sneakers, and stormed out. For context, I'm short, very baby-faced, long dark hair with bangs, pale skin. I can pass for 12 if I try. Not exactly intimidating. Halfway there, I suddenly got a nosebleed, and not a small one. Blood just poured out, all over my sweater, my hands, my face. I'd already been crying, so now I looked completely unhinged, pale, tear-streaked, covered in blood. I kept walking. Then I saw them, 4 or 5 men standing near a wall. There was a ladder leaning against it. One guy was halfway up. I saw tools on their belts, a hammer, something that looked like a saw. For a second, I thought they were repair workers. Then, my brain caught up. Why would repair workers be climbing over a gated community wall at 11:30 at night? I slowed down. They turned toward me at the same time. We locked eyes. For a split second, no one moved. I must have looked insane. Bloody face, wide eyes, silent. One of the guys let out this high-pitched, terrified yell. The others started cursing. Then they ran. Not toward me. Away from me. They scrambled into a car parked right there, almost left the ladder behind in their panic, and peeled off with the fastest U-turn I've ever seen. I just stood there shaking. A week later, the news reported a string of robberies in the area. Thieves had been using ladders to climb over subdivision walls and break into houses. Police caught them because they left a ladder behind at one scene. The same night I saw them. Apparently, during one of the robberies, someone had been killed. To this day, I think about it. If I hadn't gotten that nosebleed, they probably would have seen me as just another small girl walking alone. Back in 2015, I had enough money saved for either a decent smartphone or a dog. I'd never had either. I chose the dog. My dad knew a guy whose border collies had just had a litter. We drove out, and I got the last puppy. I named him Bailey. He was all paws and energy and zero survival instincts. A few weeks later, after his shots, I started taking him on walks. My parents thought I'd hang out at the park to socialize him. Nope. I started walking him around the edge of this nearby farm. The farmer was an old family friend. My uncles worked for him when they were younger. If I ever got caught wandering around, I could just name drop and be fine. On both sides of the farm were thick woods. I'd cut through there before, never thought twice about it. It was a sunny afternoon after a week of heavy rain. Bailey was losing his mind with excitement. We looped around toward the woods on the east side. Everything felt normal. Bailey kept diving into bushes, rolling in stuff he shouldn't. At one point he rolled in fox poop and I had to drag him out while gagging. We were about halfway past the woods when I heard it. A man's voice calling my dog by name. Bailey, come here, Bailey. I froze. I knew it wasn't the farmer. I'd heard his voice plenty of times at barbecues and weddings. This wasn't him. The voice came from deep in the woods. It sounded excited, like someone trying to coax a dog over. Bailey ignored it completely, still sniffing the ground. I was 18, small, no phone, zero real self-defense skills. If that guy figured out where I was standing, I was done. If Bailey ran toward him, I'd have to follow, and I wasn't letting some stranger drag my dog into the woods. I scooped Bailey up and sprinted across the field. Behind me, I heard movement, branches snapping, someone stepping out of the tree line. I didn't look back. I vaulted the fence and ran all the way home. When I told my mom, she brushed it off. Probably some drunk guy messing around. A few weeks later, I was at my uncle's house when the farmer showed up. My uncle mentioned what happened. The farmer got quiet. He asked exactly which woods I'd been near. Then he told us some of his clothes had gone missing from his washing line recently. He'd blamed the wind. Now he wasn't so sure. The next day, we went out there together. About 40 yards into the woods, we found it. A destroyed campsite. Tent collapsed. Empty food wrappers everywhere. Portable gas canisters like someone had been cooking out there for a while. but no clothes, no person, just signs that someone had been living out there, watching. The farmer reported it. Nothing ever came of it. But I bought a phone shortly after that, and I never walked those woods alone again.